Hello, my name is Brian, and in this video we're going to be going over a quick guide to steaming. Steaming is great because it preserves the vitamins and minerals in the foods. In boiling, it would potentially reduce them more if you're roasting or certain things like that. It takes away the nutrients in your ingredients when you cook them. Steaming is also great because you do not need oils. You just use water in a pot. It steams, and the steam goes up and cooks our food. You can cook all kinds of things with a steamer. You can cook veggies, potatoes, sweet potatoes, fish, and dumplings, other things. There are all different kinds of steamers, including metal steamers, like I have here, bamboo steamers, which can be stacked on top of each other, electric steamers, such as an Instapot, wok, which is good for authentic Asian cuisines and bigger batches. And you could do makeshift steamers as well, but they're potentially going to have weaker circulation if they're not closed off properly. If you're cooking something like fish, you could use paper parchment or cabbage leaves to help prevent sticking. So I have a metal steamer, and this one happens to have a grabbable piece right here. If it is unbalanced, then it'll fall as you're picking it up. But you really don't want the water higher than this in the pot itself. We already got it steaming, so I'm going to go ahead and insert it. This hasn't really, it's gotten a little bit hot. Cast iron takes a while to heat up. But you can see the water is pretty much right there below the steamer. We're pretty much ready to add these. I'm going to do these 2 whole potatoes, about 2 inches. So we can see the cooking difference between pieces that are cut in half. So these are approximately 1 inch. Altogether here in potatoes, we got 1 pound and 8 ounces, which is about 68.5 grams. So the cut potatoes don't have the barrier of the skin on them, so they cook faster. 1 inch to 3 inch potatoes can take anywhere from like 15 minutes to 40 minutes or more of steaming, depending. The more times you take off the lid, the weaker the circulation will be. If you keep the lid on, the circulation keeps going. We start it on high to get it boiling, but then we want to reduce it to like a medium high, medium simmer. So I'm going to put it on 5, put the lid back on. And we're going to have to make sure that the water doesn't run out, because it's not a whole lot of water in this, and that could really cook up the pot and any steamer we're using. The metal is a little more protected, but I've had plastic ones that'll melt if there's no water. Anytime the water gets low, you're going to want to add more hot water to the mix. If you add cold water, then you're going to lose all your temperature, you're going to lose your vigorous simmer, and it's going to take a whole lot longer for you to cook whatever you're cooking. Potatoes are some of the harder things that might take the longest. Broccoli might only take 4 to 6 minutes depending on the doneness that you want. So you don't really have to worry about refilling the water. But broccoli I usually do 5 minutes, and I just take it out, make sure that it's all warm, that the broccoli feels warm and there's no cold spots, and then it's good. If you have an electric kettle such as this, then it's a lot easier to have that hot water on standby and add it in. Otherwise, you might have to put some water in the microwave, heat it up real quick, and then add it, so your steamer doesn't lose its vigorous simmer, its cooking power. So we just got it in here. I'm gonna let it go for 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna check the tenderness and readiness of these potatoes. As far as potatoes and the skin on them, if you keep the skin on, it does take a little bit longer to steam, especially if they're whole, if they're not cut, as I cut most of those. Some people do prefer to take the skin off for certain recipes where they want the aesthetic to look all nice. Other people prefer to peel off the skin of the potato, as if it's not organic, then most of the pesticides will probably be on the skin itself. Some can seep into the actual potato, but most of it's generally going to be on the outside. But if you get organic, you don't got to worry about that. Plus, if you take off the skin, then you're losing a lot of fiber, potassium, antioxidants. If we had steamed fish, then we could hold the fish in the fridge for maybe 1 to 2 days afterwards. We could reheat it by steaming it for a couple minutes. When we are steaming the fish itself, we could add some ginger and other herbs to the fish and or the water to kind of help marinate and cook that fish. If you're cooking broccoli, like I said, maybe about 5 minutes. Once the broccoli's done steaming, if we are not going to serve it right there hot, if we're going to serve it later in the week cold, then we want to stop the cooking process of the broccoli so we could blanch it. So once it's done cooking, we could throw it into, say, a bucket of some ice, and that would change the temperature and stop the cooking process. And it's been 20 minutes, so I'll go ahead and take this off. Anytime you take the lid off, you gotta be careful of the steam so you don't burn yourself. You can see here, it goes in pretty smoothly, but it doesn't come out that easily. And this one, it's a lot harder to penetrate, the full one here. I'm going to start with 10 more minutes. But before I just put the lid back on and continue doing it, I want to check how much water is down there. It is getting pretty low. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more. You see the bottom's like right there. And that's why you got to be careful with this, because it's all the weight is on this side, so it's tipping. Our hot water, go ahead and add some. Not enough so that it reaches the bottom or boils up and touches the potatoes. Alright, it's been 10 more minutes. So at this point I could stab the pieces pretty easy. They don't just fall off, so they don't come off that easy, but they should be good at this point. These ones are a little bit harder to pierce still, a little bit easier than before. So these ones, since they are whole, they would need a little bit more time, but otherwise we could say these potatoes are done. And then as far as potatoes, we could salt, pepper, put butter, sour cream, cheese, and bacon. We could either have the potatoes like this, or we could mash them with a fork to have mashed potatoes. We could also use a masher. But that's the gist of steaming potatoes and steaming in general. Comment below if you have any comments. And let me know if you have any topics you'd like me to talk about. Till next time, take care.